Stanford University students want 24/7 counselors to help them deal with the grief and all the people who are pro-Israel on the campus.
Megyn, this is the problem in our country, and it is a huge, it's a national problem that we mock these people for, and we should mock these little losers for being little losers, but it is a problem because these universities, I could never get into one, of course, but these universities, they do produce people who lead our society, right? Senators, they went to Harvard, they went to Stanford, Fortune 500 CEO. The leaders of a society come from these elite institutions. So if your elite institutions are producing weapons-grade turds who feel like they need grief counselors 24/7 and all this other stuff, well, you're going to find your nation in quite a pickle if all the institutions eventually get taken over by these vicious little monsters. Because the right lied to themselves for years and years and years. I heard this a million times, Megyn. I probably said this myself. Well, once they get older and earn a paycheck, they'll wake up. That has not happened. That did not happen at all. They took their radical activism right from college, right into the corporate boardroom, right into the U.S. House, all throughout our government bureaucracy. What we're seeing on campus now, the same mentality governs the country.
Mm-hmm. You got to give it to them on chutzpah, the nerve to actually come out and ask for 24/7 trauma counselors, to say there will be, to look at the Stanford University professors and administrators who let you into this institution and say, there will be no neutrality, they say, on genocide. Neutrality is complicity. Now get me my damn lawyer and my trauma counselor and you get out there and you boycott all Israeli goods. You got it? And you know what? They're probably going to get some of this. They're probably going to get it.
Well, this is the difference in mentality, Megyn, and this is why it's been so hard for so many people on the right to overcome. This is why we've lost the culture, because we believe in neutrality. If you talk to the normal person on the right, and not a bad person either, just a normal person on the right, they would probably genuinely tell you, hey, I just want to heal divisions. I want to get along. I want to live and let live. Hey, you do you, I'll do me. Like that's obviously not universal. That's probably the predominant thinking on the right. Probably most of the people who even listen, watch your show. That's a normal person's way of thinking. But when you're dealing with conquerors who don't acknowledge neutrality, they won't accept neutrality. Well, you have to change your mentality because they're not going to change. These people mean what they say. No, there's no neutrality. You will voice support for me or you're my enemy. They're dead serious. And those two mentalities, the live and let live and there's no neutrality, they don't work together. One is going to dominate the other if the other doesn't change how it thinks.
It's true. It's like that, the BLM videos where they stopped the cars and they went up to people at restaurants and they were like, say it. You're supposed to raise your fist and say BLM. It's not enough to be neutral for them. It is, you will adopt the way I view or else, the way I view life or else. And it's like that kid in Tulane who was running after the truck as they were trying to burn the Israeli flag, saying, give me that flag. Don't disrespect that flag. And he got beaten with a flagpole. No. You will burn it, you'll watch it, you'll love it, F off, right? It's like the backlash against the people who are standing up for hostages, standing up for terror victims is absolute madness.
Well, it is madness, and I think we should probably leave some room, just in my opinion, I think we should leave some room for madness. And this is what I mean by this. Look, the wisdom of crowds. I believe Malcolm Gladwell actually wrote a book on that. But there's the wisdom of crowds, the madness of crowds. People do things when there's a big mob doing things that they would never otherwise do if they weren't in a big mob. You get your blood up and you do these things. I think people should realize as we see all these nutball demonstrations, just like we did after the St. George Floyd protests and all these other things, people have to understand a lot of the people, especially young people caught up in these things, they're just doing things because everyone else is doing them. And I bet you money, Megyn, if you went and pulled 10 people out of every single one of these protests, that 9 of them actually couldn't lay out any of the history of Israel, Hamas, or the region.
I want someone to do it.
Specifics about. Oh yeah, of course.
I want you do it. Jesse Kelly needs to get in the midst of these reporters or these college protesters and say, when you say from the river to the sea, what do you mean? What specifically? Yeah. When you say end the occupation, What define the occupation? What exactly are they doing? When you say, intifada, what is an intifada? What does it mean? How has it been used? How has it happened historically? Please do this. Please. You'll be my lead. I need to see this done.
You know what? What's funny, Megyn, is I actually might do that, but I don't need to, because you already know, and I already know, everyone listening right now already knows how that would turn out. And I heard a fascinating documentary I watched one time, and I'm sorry, I can't plug them. It was years ago, but they were interviewing people from Mao's Cultural Revolution. Everyone who listens to your show knows what that is. Mao weaponizes all the young people of China, high school, college kids, and they go around and beat a bunch of people to death. It was horrible. Tore up graves, tore down statues. It was awful. They killed like 2 million people, beating teachers to death with ball bats. It was the worst thing ever. And they interviewed during this documentary, not victims. You always see those documentaries. They found and interviewed people who had taken part in all this stuff. They're in the crowds yelling at the struggle sessions. They're throwing stuff. They're hitting people. They're doing these horrible things. And to a man, to a woman, it was men and women that took place. Not one of them, and they were remorseful, but not one of them could explain. And they were asked several times, why did you do this? Okay, and it was always a specific case. Okay, you went to Barbara's house and you beat her to death. You did that. Why did you do that? And none of them could really explain why. The best you could get was some vague reference. Well, I mean, we thought she was maybe a landlord who could maybe have kicked people. They never knew, Megyn. These people don't know. The crowd's doing it, so they do it.
I think it's more complicated than that, because it's the BLM crowd, it's the LGBTQ plus crowd, right? It's like, it's crazy because like their perception, their self-perception of I stand up for the oppressed. That's what you're seeing underlying a lot of these things. And they view the Palestinians as oppressed. They have no fucking knowledge of anything, right? They see skin color. They're like, yeah, they're the victims. And you look back at like the individual profiles of some of the people. Yesterday we highlighted what happened at Cooper Union in New York City, where these Jewish students were barricaded in a library. They were locked in a library because the pro-Palestinians were banging on the door outside. So the librarians had to protect these kids. I mean, you're in trouble when the librarians are your chief security, locking them in. Go librarians. Here's the student who, according to Stop Anti-Semitism, orchestrated the mob against the Jews at Cooper Union. His name is Matthew Maglore. And this is a guy, the same guy with the same name at Cooper Union, goes by, ready, Jesse? They, him, M, E-M. I didn't even know that was a thing. M, he wants you to call him M. Well, M orchestrated an intimidation campaign against the Israelis, and they're very mad at M now because he seems like a total douchebag. But this is so he's an artist and a person with the same exact name as this guy. I can't confirm 100% it's the same person, but who else is named Matthew, spelled Thieu, Maglore, Maglore, at Cooper Union, which is not a big school. There's a website that features his art, sculptures, and animations, and I thought you'd really appreciate these, Jesse, as a connoisseur of good art. I don't know I'm not sure what we're looking at here. Is it is it penile? Is it like potatoes? I don't know what it is, but this is how he describes his art. His work explores the Black identity and the most sublime qualities of the expected in the most unexpected ways. I think Kamala Harris wrote this. His work deals with the crossroads of intersectionality through establishing blurred lines in his choice of media, allowing his artistic practices to leech off one another in an accompanying effort to intensify the overall experience. So this is a BLMer who's looking for his next, latest, greatest cause, and it happens, unfortunately, to be Jewish people who he wants to torment. We all know getting older comes with its share of aches and pains, but it doesn't mean you have to just accept it. Let me tell you about William from California and his Relief Factor story. William had debilitating back pain and tried all sorts of treatments with no luck. His sister insisted he give Relief Factor a try, and after a month, his back pain was gone. William says, I don't know how Relief Factor works, but it is a miracle. If you are living with aches and pain, see how Relief Factor, a daily drug-free supplement, could help you feel and live better every day. Relief Factor is 100% tested and packaged in the USA, trusted for more than a decade by more than 1 million pain-free customers. Say goodbye to aches and pains. Get started today with the Relief Factor 3-week Quick Start Kit. It's just $19.95 and it comes with a feel better or your money back guarantee. Visit relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. That's 1-800-4RELIEF. Live the life you love with Relief Factor. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.